On the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote, Governor Andrew M. Cuomo today announced an effort to stabilize and preserve the childhood home of prominent 19th-century women's rights activist Susan B. Anthony, in Washington County. The work at the 1832 two-story brick home on Route 29 in Battenville, where Anthony lived from ages 13 to 19, which includes repairs to the roof, masonry and drainage, as well as mold remediation and water damage, is expected to be complete by September. New York has been the birthplace to many of the progressive movements that have left an indelible mark on our society while pushing the nation forward, and particularly for women's suffrage, which began at Seneca Falls and included legendary New Yorkers such as Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton and so many more, Governor Cuomo said. As we commemorate the 100th anniversary of women gaining the right to vote, we must also recognize there is more work to be done. New York will continue to lead the nation in creating greater equality for all, and we are proud to preserve and enhance this important part of American history for future generations. On the anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment, this development will stabilize Susan B. Anthony's childhood home in Washington County, allowing for the reuse of the property, said Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul. While the Susan B. Anthony House and Museum in Rochester showcases the history of one of the world's greatest revolutionaries, this project will further preserve Anthony's legacy in New York State. As the birthplace of the women's rights movement, New York was the first major state to grant the right to vote in the country, leading the way for the 19th Amendment. As we celebrate the centennial of women's suffrage, we still have more work to do to achieve true equality and justice. Now more than ever, we must embrace this time to continue to fight for real change. This year is also the 200th anniversary of Susan B. Anthony's birth, in 1820. The child of a Quaker family that promoted abolition and temperance, she lived in Washington County, in Battenville and later in Center Falls, from 1826 to 1845, between the ages of 6 and 25 before her family moved to Rochester. Governor Cuomo also announced that the State Office of Parks, Recreation and Historic Preservation, which is managing the $695,000 stabilization project, has reached a purchase agreement on an adjoining 4-acre site that contains a former historic tavern dating to the period when the Anthony family lived next door. Supported by the State Environmental Protection Fund, the $130,500 purchase will allow for future creation of adequate parking for the Anthony home and serve as a staging area for continued phased redevelopment of the building for an as yet undetermined future use. State Parks Commissioner Erik Kulleseid said, "Part of our mission is the preservation of our state's historic legacy.